Alright, back again here with Agnes the motorhome, trying to figure out why she was first cutting out intermittently and then now won't start at all. Went down a whole road on the carburetor, trying to decide if she was getting gas, and kind of successfully got to the end of that road. She is getting gas. I learned a lot about things about the carburetor that I didn't know previously, so if any of you watched the previous video, you'll probably notice a number of mistakes that I made where I didn't understand exactly how or why the carburetor should work in certain ways. So got to the bottom of that. One thing I'd noticed when I was doing the solar system and the house battery setup here for Agnes, because I did know more about the electronic side, was that the alternator was putting out 16 volts at times. So I'd kind of had this suspicion that the voltage regulator in the alternator was going out, which I'm pretty sure is the case. But what I have learned since then from the guy at Springfield Ignition is that when that alternator starts to put out too much voltage, it can fry the ignition coil by putting too much voltage in there and it causing it to arc and try to go to ground. And that at first will show up as intermittent performance when climbing hills or the engine's under load, and then ultimately end up to where the vehicle won't start at all. So that sounds a lot like what Agnes was doing. So I was able to get a replacement coil here locally. So we're going to give this a whirl and see if maybe this will solve our problem and get Agnes back up and running. If it does, we pretty well have to immediately shut her down and then pull the alternator off and go get a new, either rebuild this alternator or get a new one put on it, depending on what size she has, because we don't want to blow this new one again because of too much voltage. So I'll make the swap here and we'll see if that does the trick. Here is our lovely 455 rocket hot rod engine in a 1973 motorhome, which always kind of cracks me up. The guy told me, by the way, he's like, you do not, they're going to try to sell you the coil with the red and white wire. You don't want the one with the red and white wire. You want the one with the red and yellow wire, which we have. They also said I needed to look at this little spring here and make sure the brush looks good, but it all looks actually pretty new to me, so I think that's okay. So this guy, fortunately this is, I think, a pretty simple replacement. Famous last words. That guy goes in there, and then we've got 4 screws that hold it down, which are 1, do this next one that has the ground wire here. I'm not going to tighten these down too much because the distributor cap is plastic. Two. Three. And 4. So that is that. And then I took a picture of this, but I also remember red went to the front, and I guess these guys just shove down in here like so. 1, and the yellow went towards the back, and 2. Use this to kind of push them down in there good. And all, I think, is good to go. We'll put our little cap back on top here and get it down in between the plug wires. Yes. And then this guy had 3 screws on it, which were uno, thank goodness for magnetic screwdrivers. Dos. And numero 3. All right. Let's put the number 1 cylinder plug wire back on, which I had to remove to get to that screw. Get that guy back on there solidly. And get the camera back a little bit out of the way here, just in case the rocket launches. Let's give it a whirl. Fingers crossed. I have to bridge those batteries. That starting battery's about dead. We are back in business. How about that, Agnes? Alright, we'll shut her down now because we've got to pull that alternator off so we don't repeat the foul. But what do you know? I'm learning to work on 455 rocket engines.